Okay, how's everyone doing? Okay, if you're still opening your eyes, take your time. Sometimes the body demands more time to come out, and we never want to rush it. Any questions about what just happened, what we just did? Yes?
You know, the breathing through the left and out the right.
Mm-hmm.
After you take your hand down, you still do that type of breathing? You still try to breathe?
No. Then you. That's why I gave that instruction. Then just let the breath take care of itself. Okay. Let it be normal. Yeah. Thank you. You know, I guess. No. I have to always be very clear about that. I guess I need to be more clear. These activities that we do at the beginning, whether it's breathing, doing something with the breath, or there's some other things we can do, which I'll mention in a minute. I think of these as on-ramps into meditation. Okay. If possible, what we would want to do is go right into the express lane and be going 70. Okay. But generally speaking, you know, we've been out on the surface roads dealing with stuff, running errands, doing business. We need some way to accelerate and to get off the busyness of the surface roads and onto just the smooth simplicity of cruising along in the left lane. So for that transition, we have on-ramps. The purpose of the on-ramp is to use it and then get off of it as soon as possible. All right. I find that to be a very useful perspective because all of these things are good, whether it's breath or, as I said, there's other things you can do. Some people like to do visualization. You can do things with sound. I like doing things with sound because I like playing with my voice. So I like, you know, you can chant mantra or, you know, whatever floats your boat. You've been running, it can be very simple. You're running around all day doing stuff. Here we live near the ocean. You go sit down at the beach, just gaze at the ocean for a little while. Let that be the on-ramp, then close your eyes. Or if you're in your room, gaze at a spot on the rug or something. Or I like when Muslims pray and they gaze at the palms of their hands. There's something very beautiful about that, right? But the whole thing is then let it go. Let it go. Don't spend your life on the on-ramp, and just let it go into the simplicity of just being. That's the express lane. Just being, where we're not trying to breathe any special way, we're not trying to feel any special way, we're not trying to meditate. What we're doing is allowing gravity to take over. And the gravitation of human consciousness is that it's always gravitating toward peace, toward happiness, toward freedom, toward just that place of And not just in so-called meditation, everything we do. You pick up a book. Why do you pick up this book and not that book? Because there's some sense that you have, correctly or incorrectly, you have some sense that this one is going to give me the sense of, intellectually or philosophically or aesthetically, something. That's why you go to this movie and not that movie. You know, why you marry this person and not that person. Sometimes it works out better than other times with all of these things. But we don't have to think about it. We don't have to think about it. We don't have to go, okay, where is now I'm going to go for more happiness. Now I'm going to go for more peace, more food. That's the given. All our discussions about relationships and food and books and movies are about, okay, which one is going to give me the best shot at this time? But the underlying thing, it's so basic to human life. We're going for happiness. We're going for peace. We're going for... that's so ingrained in us. It's so fundamental to our existence that we don't even think about it. Now, that's because this is how we're built. Like, I have those heat-seeking missiles. We are fulfillment-seeking organisms. Okay? So left to our own devices, leaving our consciousness to its own devices, that's the gravity. It's going to settle into that place of ultimate, which fortunately is inside of us. Even to, in other words, it's not dependent on the external circumstances. This ice cream flavor, maybe it turns out to be as orgasmically delicious as I had hoped, maybe not. But either way, the real is inside you. In fact, it's never in the ice cream. We think, okay, the ice cream cone is, right, I want this ice cream, I really like ice cream, by the way, so this is a good example for me. I want this ice cream, I want this ice cream, and then you get the ice cream. Well, that proves it. There's happiness in ice cream. I just experienced it. But of course, if we take the ice cream into the lab, tear it apart, put its components under the electron microscope, we're going to find atoms of carbon and oxygen and nitrogen and all these things. We're not going to find any atoms of happiness. So since it's not there, there's only one other place where it can be. That's here. And in fact, we look more closely at this whole process. Right? I want it, 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 I get it. At that moment, see, we're seeking ice cream, at the moment we get the ice cream, we're no longer seeking it. We fulfill that desire and we sink back into ourself. And there's where the is. It's not here. This is just like a triggering mechanism that allows us to, or facilitates our sinking back into ourself. So whether it's, ice cream or sex or the aesthetic bliss of reading a brilliant novel or seeing a beautiful movie. Yafa and I are both total movie freaks. We were just at our wonderful Aero Theater here on Sunday night for a Coen Brothers double bill, Fargo and A Serious Man. And they're both just aesthetically, cinematically, so gorgeously, perfectly put together that we're just, at the end of each one, we were just, God, you got a cigarette? The good news is that because the real thing is inside of us, and to say inside, what does inside mean? In your spleen and your pancreas? No, it means in our awareness. And actually not even in our awareness, it's the nature of awareness. Awareness itself, human awareness keeps seeking bliss, and it turns out awareness is bliss. In the Hindu philosophy, it's called Sat Chit Ananda. Being is awareness is bliss. So it's the awareness keeps looking, aware of this, I find some happiness there. No, you didn't really find some happiness there. You found some occasion to fall back upon yourself a little bit, or a lot. So what meditation is eliminating the middleman without the benefit of the movie or the ice cream or the whatever, just allowing the awareness to fall back upon itself. And the more we practice this, and it is really good to practice this every day, just we get into the rhythm of it. We go out into activity, back into ourself. Out into activity, back like a pendulum swinging. And we kind of set up this rhythm. It's good to do it approximately the same time every day, mainly so that we don't have to think, when am I going to get around to it? Just like brushing your teeth. This prompt is very useful. And we fall into this rhythm, and it becomes more and more clear that, the real bliss, the real is inside me, is this I. And then not only does it get clearer and clearer for longer and longer times while you're sitting in meditation, more and more the awareness of that is there out of meditation. Because it's still the same awareness. It's just usually, up till now, it's gotten overshadowed by the objects of awareness. We go to the shiny objects. So it's like we get caught up in the movie, we miss the screen upon which the movie is being displayed. That movie is this awareness. And all the characters in the movie are running around looking for happiness, and the happiness is the screen that they're running around on. So that becomes more and more clear as we just continue to practice. Any questions about any of this?
Beingness is awareness.
Beingness is awareness.
It's words. Words.
They're words. It looks different. It's like a diamond.
Yeah.
You know, you look at it from here through this facet, through this facet, through this facet, it looks the same, but it's one diamond. Now, don't take my word for that, because that is a huge, totally revolutionary, totally subversive statement. Beingness is the same as awareness, is the same as bliss.
Or consciousness.
Or consciousness. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Awareness and consciousness, okay, this is where the terminology can get a little tricky. And sometimes different writers and teachers will use the same words in different ways. The short version is awareness and consciousness are two different words for the same thing. I generally wind up using the word awareness because I like the poetics of it better. Right? To me, consciousness, it's a little too harsh. Whereas awareness, I like that W sound. It's more like open space. That's all.
Presence.
Presence. Sure. See, all these words are fine, are correct, are valid, and they're all inaccurate. They're all inadequate and potentially misleading. Because language essentially is developed. It's a really good tool for describing the objects and phenomena that we're aware of. Or, in other words, describing all the stuff that happens on the screen. When it comes to the screen itself, language is not really adapted for that. And language is taking place on the screen. Okay, so language isn't big enough. Our words are not big enough to wrap around the screen and express it properly because the language is something happening on the screen. Okay. So I think it's really helpful to try to use language as precisely as we can, and with an extra helping of humility to know that whatever we say, it's always going to, as one of my teachers said, this one Buddhist Lama I used to study with, I remember him once saying, any words that you say have a back door of potential misunderstanding, and someone will always find the back door. All right. I pretty much spent my teaching career trying to make that back door as small as possible, and using different words to kind of cover each other. But the main thing here is, beingness is awareness. Now that's huge. That's huge. That's bigger than E equals MC squared, right? I mean, you can imagine, I don't know if we can imagine, when Einstein first said that, energy and matter really looked like two different things. And here along comes this guy, this Jewish guy from Switzerland who had been working in a patent office, and he writes a paper and he says, guess what? Energy and matter are the same thing. They just look a little different. They're but if you get down to it, they're different aspects of the same thing. Okay, that's huge. What is even huger is that beingness and awareness, or the existence, we can say, and awareness, existence and consciousness, are the same thing. Because existence is going to embrace all that is, including both energy and matter. Right? They're over here. And then awareness, we usually think, conventionally, people will think of awareness or consciousness as being a phenomenon which is the end product of a bunch of beingness, of an organism. It's like, okay, out of beingness, out of matter, we get a universe. We get a big bang, and and then we get hydrogen, and then helium, and doop 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 doop. From the Big Bang on, the physicists have been able to describe it very nicely. Once you get the Big Bang, it's easy. How do we get to the Big Bang is a little harder. But we get that, then we get hydrogen, then helium, then the whole periodic chart, and then those things start interacting, and after a while you got seaweed and alligators and we work our way up to humans. And somewhere before humans we start getting some rudimentary forms of consciousness, and then finally with humans we get a pretty fully blossomed phenomenon of consciousness. We get this organism that's got a bunch of electrical activity going on at this end that produces a phenomenon called consciousness. So it's an end product of a bunch of stuff happening, a bunch of objects and events going on. And finally, the very last thing is consciousness. That's the standard, right, materialist model of life. There's another word with a big backdoor of misinterpretation, but I'm going to use it. The alternate model, the spiritual model, right? The spiritual model is no. The awareness is not the product of the organism. The organism is a product of awareness. Not just the organism, what we think of as the body, the whole thing, the whole shooting match, the whole universe is taking place within awareness. I'm not going to try to convince you of that. No one can convince you of that. But if you really want to have some fun for your homework, the essay question, the take-home essay, is ask yourself, as you go about your business, well, first ask yourself the question, am I aware? Keep asking yourself that question. See if you can come up with any time that you're not aware, any time that there's not awareness. I think we can predict how that one will turn out. But you have to go through that experientially. You have to be sure of it. Okay? So, okay, there's awareness. Then ask yourself the question, what is the evidence that there is an objectively existing universe outside of my awareness? What is the evidence? What is the, are you following this? What is the, somehow we've gone to into the advanced course tonight. Okay. What is the evidence that there is, if this is like too much, don't worry about it. But if this is talking to you, you can have a lot of fun with this. What is the evidence that there is an objectively existing universe outside of this awareness that I'm experiencing right now? Just ask yourself that. Okay? Have fun. Have fun. Report back in 2 weeks. Yeah, Tommy?
Would that be something like string theory that the physicists and the mathematicians can validate with their formulas?
I don't know. I can't follow that stuff. I'm not smart enough. But I can do this. But having said that, no. No. And in fact, there's a lot of this stuff, and there's a lot of people doing things now with what's the SAND conference, science and non-duality, and a lot of people trying to make these connections between physics and physics, the stuff that stuff that physics has evolved in the last several decades is so cool, so far out. Again, I can't Now, I took one physics class in high school. I got a D in it. That was as far as I went. I can't follow it. I'm a poet, not a math science guy. But I can tell you this. I think it's really cool that they're to keep trying to make the connections between the deepest reaches of physics and this whole science, we could say, of awareness, beingness, science of enlightenment. But as far as I can see, the people doing this keep missing the point. Okay, they talk. I remember a year or two ago, someone talking about coming up with what he was calling the God, something, the God atom or the God string or something like that.
Boson. God.
The boson, yeah. Yeah, right. It had to be some, really fundamental subatomic, something, particle, quark,
Subatomic, yeah.
something. But it's anything like that. Okay, but beyond molecules we got atoms. Beyond atoms we got subatomic particles. Beyond that we got quarks and bosons and mesons and all the. I'm throwing out these words. I really don't know what they mean, except I know that they're. We get more and more fundamental. It's all still matter and energy. Or even, if it's building blocks of matter and energy, it's still phenomena. It's still phenomena. It's still stuff that on some level we're aware of. It's not awareness itself. It's still, it may be just the finest level of something, but it's still, in a sense, something. Because a boson's going to be different from a boson or something. Because they're still, in some subtle way, there's something. They've got one of them's got some behavior that's different from the behavior of the other. All this, say the enlightened sages, whatever it is, it's all taking place in this, for lack of a better word, open space, which is the one who's hearing these words right now. Okay? Which is the awareness within which, the very awareness, the space within which these words are resonating right now, within which the colors of the room are being experienced right now. It's never going to be more distant. You're never going to go somewhere else and find it. It's this awareness right now. And it has no qualities. It's not something. Not even the finest, most subtle level of something. It's nothing. It's nothing. No thing. Nothing. But it's aware nothing. It's luminous emptiness.
So it's not changeable either.
No, it's not, because there's nothing to change.
Right.
Change means you've got one quality,
Something.
one condition, and then it becomes another
Even
condition.
all the quarks or whatever. that
Yeah.
you-
Yeah, we
Those
can't
are
become,
changeable.
we don't become more aware. Awareness can't expand, it can't get elaborated, it can't get more beautiful. It just is, we become more aware of awareness. That's what we're doing here. That's our this endeavor.
When I ask myself, am I aware, I notice a difference in my.
Yeah.
Something changes.
Yeah.
I become more aware that I'm aware.
Yes. Yes.
Because I'm more present. And all of a sudden, it's
Yeah.
like a call of attention.
Yeah, or more aware of presence.
More aware of
Right.
presence.
More present to your presence. So again, see, this is where we run into the limitations of the words. But I think what you're doing, it's so right. It's so useful, and I really, this is what my best teachers have encouraged me to do, and I encourage other people to do. Keep asking that. Am I aware? Yeah. Am I aware? Yeah. Am I aware? The answer's never no, but you keep asking that question because you keep getting more and more tuned into the reality of that. And that is really the base note that runs through all your experience. What runs through all your experience is the experiencer. What runs through the experience is all the stuff, all the objects and phenomena, the conditions, all the changeability, the changing phenomena that we're aware of. Okay, but then there's the experiencer. So the question goes from am I aware to am I awareness? Am I awareness? Can I be anything other than awareness? Usually we think, oh, I'm a body. I'm a body. But wait, am I aware of the body? Yeah. These are not trick questions. They're very straightforward. Am I aware of the body? Yeah. I'm aware of the body. Therefore, the body is something I'm aware of. Okay, let's take a step back. Are you aware, are the books over here? Right now, you, talking about your experience, yours. Are you the books or are you something that's aware of the books? Something that's aware of, again, they're not a trick questions, they're not metaphysical questions. Okay, let's get a little closer than the books, whatever piece of furniture you're sitting on, your chair or your cushion or the couch. Are you the seat or are you something that's aware of the seat? Something aware of the seat. Now let's get a little closer. Are you slightly closer than the seat? Are you the clothing or are you something that's aware of the clothing? Aware of whatever is aware of the clothing. Now, let's get a little closer. Are you the skin? Or something that's aware of the skin? Aware of the skin. And the skin pressing through the clothing, against the rest. Okay. And then we can, and the whole body. You're aware of the body? Yeah, you're aware of the body. You're something that's aware of the body. And when I think, oh, well, I'm these thoughts. These thoughts are aware of the body. Can a thought be aware of something? Mm-hmm. Are you aware of your thoughts? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So their thoughts are just like the books. You're not the thoughts, you're that which is aware of the thoughts. You're not the feelings, you're that which is aware of the feelings. You're not your whole iPhoto album of personal history that you might think of as you. Oh, I'm the one who, okay, in December of 2018, I was there in Big Sur, and then and before that, and then my mom was like this, and my dad was like this, and then I fell off the jungle gym, and I got traumatized by that, and I was happy. All that stuff that you think of, all makes up me. That's all stuff you're aware of. You're not even aware of that stuff, by the way. You're aware of some thoughts about it that we call memories. Which, by the way, every time you think you keep retrieving the same memory, it's not. Every time you reformulate it, it's actually different. Okay, so this is called neti, not this, not this. You're not this, you're not this, you're not this, and you keep doing it. This is called inquiry. We keep doing this inquiry, this neti, eliminating all these things that we might possibly be, and see what's left.
Nothing.
See what's left. And what's left is the aware nothing that hears that, which is aware of it right now. But we would just get more clear on this. We get, as you say, more present to it, more clear on it, and it becomes more and more clear that that's the freedom, that's the happiness, that's the awe we've been looking for. The more you realize what you are is like empty space. I'm doing this like it's not even space. It's because it's what's aware of space, but that's a metaphor. But it's about the best metaphor we have. Yeah, let me get to Sean and then you.
Oh, my.
You still have your question, or did we?
Kind of. I know we're running close on time,
Mm-hmm.
but it might be a little off topic. But you were talking about electricity in the brain, and as far as like awareness, it got me thinking like a receiver, like a radio receiver.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to ask if you have any experience with or an opinion on like remote seeing or clairvoyance or like sharing awareness with someone that's
Mm-hmm.
halfway around the world or seeing something remotely.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that stuff happens. And probably, have you had experiences of it? Probably.
None that I can articulate, but
Yeah.
I felt as though I did in retrospect.
Yeah, probably a bunch of people in the room here, a bunch of people out in YouTube land have had that with varying degrees of clarity. And as far as I'm concerned, the short version is, yeah, it's real, and no, it's not important. Okay. It's one of the many things that the sages over the ages, in the process of this awakening to the infinity, the infinite awe of what we are, have noticed, oh, gee, one of the things that tends to happen is you get, well, to switch the metaphor for a moment back to one of my favorites, it becomes more and more clear that you're not just an isolated wave, you're the ocean. Okay? In other words, you thought you were this body and these thoughts, all this wave function, and it turns out, no, you're not wave function, you're the waveless, silent, vast ocean, which neither comes nor goes. It's not born, it doesn't die, it doesn't need anything, it doesn't lack anything, it doesn't have anything. It's just nothing, but aware nothing, something very good about it. Okay. So that becomes more and more clear. It also becomes more and more clear that all the other waves, this one and this one and this one, are all the same ocean. And there's only one ocean. So it becomes more and more clear that there's only one of us here, waving to itself. Okay, so through this waveform that we call Dean and that waveform that we call Sean, we interact. We do what we're doing right now. We discuss. We interact. It's a big Punch and Judy show. But we look back. Oh, it's only one puppeteer, as it were. So the more we become unstuck in our individual so-called identity of being Sean, and become more and more consciously ocean. We were never anything but ocean, arising as Sean, but as we become more and more consciously ocean, it's natural that we're going to tend to, since all the other waves are the same ocean, we start picking up on stuff. Not only other people, but the whole universe is the manifestation of this awareness that hears that. So it's natural that you would start. And now some people just are wired to more have that. So some people, as they become, some people who are maybe even not necessarily very much awake to themselves will naturally have some of that knack. And some people, even when they become fully awake, they're just not the way it manifests. It may manifest more in terms of other things. So it's just kind of some of the incidental evidence along the way that this is the nature of reality, that it's all non-dual. So that's nice, and it's fun when this stuff happens. It's what happens to me a lot is I'll dream stuff, and then and then like the next day it happens.
Oh, yeah.
And except mine is always stupid stuff. Like I had this dream a couple of weeks ago, something about I can't even remember now what the circumstance. And my dreams are usually very short. Like Yaffa dreams novels. I dream haiku, right? Right. So I had some dream that wound up. The gist of it was became this word episode. And someone was saying this thing to be about episode, and I'm going, what is this? Is the episode bigger than the scene, or the scene is something like that? Somehow found myself wrestling with this word episode, and I woke up and I told Yaffa about it, and I go, oh, it's weird, so, and then I forgot about it. Hours later, that afternoon, I was on the phone to I've been dealing with health insurance and Social Security and all of this stuff, right? And I get the person on the line. Oh yeah, it was my prescription drug plan or something, and they had something wrong, and I got them straightened out. And I said, oh, are you going to send me an email to confirm this? And she said, well, I can give you the episode number. I said, what? What do you mean episode? She said, oh, these when we have these communications on the phone, we call these episodes. I went, oh, okay, episode. So I get like stupid stuff like that a lot. I'll like see a face in my dream that I've never seen, and then the next day I'll meet that person, or see them on the news or something like that, someone I've never seen before.
That could be just coincidence, which is just mathematical, probabilities, that something will happen, a word, and then you stumble across a word, an image, a thought, a notion.
Sure. Fine.
I mean,
Yeah, fine. Some people get the most important thing here is that this stuff's not important, and that it can be, and the real enlightened teachers are very clear that going down the road of being fascinated by this stuff is a distraction from the real thing.
but when it does happen, it really feels important.
It can.
When you stumble across something.
Yeah, it can. But I think everyone's had experiences of this. Back in the old days, when we had the old telephones, the landlines, that didn't tell you who was calling. Didn't you ever have the experience? The phone would ring, and somehow within the quality, it seemed like the quality of the sound, you knew who was calling, even though it was someone from left field, that you had no logical reason to expect that they'd be calling you and pick it up, and it was that person. How many of you ever had that? Yeah. Okay, and we can say, okay, fine, it's just coincidence. Sure, fine. But when enough of that stuff happens, you start to suspect it's not coincidence. But
I mean, I know a woman that's located like over 4,000 dogs, lost dogs.
Yeah.
You can't tell me that's a coincidence. Like
Yeah.
4,000?
Right.
I could see like 10. I might, question her why you selling people's
Right.
dogs in the middle of the night. But 4,000's a lot.
I know a guy that I get together with once in a while who's a very wise person and just says, it's what we call intuition, but it's just some people that muscle is stronger than others.
Yeah.
We could put it that way. And I'll sit and talk with him. I'll go to him to talk about, maybe, personal situations or something. And anytime I'll mention a person that I've never mentioned before. At first, I would go to talk to him, and I'd start filling him in on the whole situation. And eventually, I realized, no, that's a waste of time. I just say the person, and he kind of looks in the corner, and then he looks up at me, and he says, well, the thing about her that you have to understand is she's emotionally 14 years old. I go, oh my God, I've known her for all this X amount of time. How did I miss that? Right? See, now to me, that's useful because it's reducing human suffering. It's using, this is wise use of a tool, right? Or to find the lost dog. I mean, that sounds lovely, but if you're doing it just, as a parlor trick or to, and then, you go to India where you've got some people who have real abilities and some people who have fake abilities, and in any case or here, anywhere, exploiting them for, ego or money or power or something, then, So again, the sages warn, don't get too distracted by that stuff. Keep your eye. My old teacher Maharishi Mahesh Yogi used to say all those things are like the, and in the ancient texts, these are called siddhis. Siddhi, siddhi, the powers. Literally it means perfections. And that's important because what they are really is like symptoms of the perfecting of our awareness of awareness. And there's the whole catalog was laid out by a man named Patanjali centuries ago in a work called the Yoga Sutras. And he laid out all these different siddhis that can arise. And they all say, so Maharishi would say all those cities, they're like, it's like you come to this new territory and you go, oh, there's a gold mine over here in this part of the territory. Oh, wait a minute, there's a silver mine over here. Oh, wait a minute, there's a diamond mine over here. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? I want all those things. He says what you do is you go to the middle where the fort is on top of the hill. You capture the fort. And then automatically all the mines belong to you. And the fort is awakening. The fort is awareness of awareness. The fort is knowing what you are. And you do that in the simplest way every day, every day, every day. Sit down, shut up, and maybe do a little on-ramp activity, do some breathing or some mantra or something, or not, or none at all if you don't feel the need, and just rest as awareness. Notice that, oh yeah, I'm aware, I'm awareness within which stuff comes and goes. I'm like the sky within which the weather blows this way and that way. Remain as the sky. Do that for a while, take your time coming out, day after day. And then during the day, maybe some of this inquiry. Am I aware? Oh yeah. Am I awareness? And, the stuff becomes clearer. Capture the form. One of the great teachers of the 20th century, some of you are familiar, his picture's back here somewhere, Neem Karoli Baba. And he just passed in 1973, so he's very close to us in time. And if you're interested, there's a very cool book. After he passed, Ram Dass, who was a student of his, famously a student of his, collected and sent people out to collect all the anecdotes about him. And there's stories of him performing all these siddhis. Like they were at the Kumbh Mela, the great once every 12-year spiritual festival. And every, all the gurus show up there, and you're supposed to, provide milk and food for everyone who comes to your tent. And they didn't have any milk, so he tells the people, okay, take these jars of down to the river. It's the Ganga, the Ganges, and collect water. And he takes the Ganges water and he does a little, and he turns it into milk. All these stories about him showing up in like 6 different towns at once, and so forth. And so the book is called Miracle of Love, because that's the real miracle is love.
This is Sai Baba.
No, this is Neem Karoli Baba.
A different.
Yeah. Baba just means like Papa. So everyone's a Baba. But my favorite part is when someone asked Neem Karoli Baba, well, talk about siddhis. And so there's all these stories of him performing all these siddhis. My favorite story, just because it's, I don't know, some great funkiness to the story. One day he's at the barber, Neem Karoli Baba, Maharaji, they sometimes call him, and he's getting shaved. And while the barber is shaving him, he's telling him about how brokenhearted he is because he and his son argued several months ago, and the son left in a huff, and he hasn't seen him since. And so he's talking about this, and at this point they're halfway through the shave, and suddenly Maharaji, Neem Karoli Baba, says, "Wait a minute, I got to piss," and he goes outside to piss, and he comes back. And then he said, okay, and they continue. He finishes the shave. The next day, the son arrives in town on the noon train or something. And the father is so overjoyed to see him. Son, I'm so, and it turns out he'd gone to some other town hundreds of miles away. And they have the tearful reunion. They both, so sorry that we quarreled, let's patch it up. And the father asked the son, the barber asked the son, well, why did you come back today after you'd been gone for all these months? And the son says, it's the strangest thing. Yesterday, I was just walking around in that town where I'd been, and suddenly this little old bald fat man came running up the road to me, and he said, you have to go see your father. You have to get on the train tomorrow and go see your father. There was something very persuasive about it. And the funny thing is, he had shaving cream on half of his face. So there's all these great stories. If you read Miracle of Love, they're all in there. But then the great thing is, someone asks Neem Karoli Baba about siddhis, and he says, and I quote, "Siddhis are pig shit." In other words, don't worry about that. And Jesus says the same thing. He does his siddhis, his miracles, and then everyone's pestering him about miracles, and he says, "Oh, you You brood of snakes, you generation of vipers, that you've got to see signs, you've got to see wonders to believe. Right? In other words, for you to believe in what I've been saying, which is I and the Father are one, in other words, the wave and the ocean are one, you've got to see splashy phenomena. Well, when you've realized that your wave is one with the ocean, it's easy to do splashy phenomena because you are the ocean and all the other waves are the ocean. So it's like, okay, wiggle my toe over here. That's that wave over here doing that thing. We levitate the ashtray or the whatever. At least in principle. But again, some people will apparently develop that thing, some won't, and most won't bother. Because why would you do that stuff? To get happier? And when you've located captured the fort, located the source of all happiness, all right? So, may all beings swiftly locate that source of all happiness, their own true nature, and thus may peace prevail everywhere. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.